You might like to give me some feedback on this, my Christmas message. What I love about Christmas is, other than birthdays, one does not need an excuse to gift our friends and families. Isn't that a good reason, a heartfelt reason to celebrate? So come and celebrate with me. Here's a little understanding of the two main people that Christmas centres around: the imaginary person, Santa, and the real person, Christ. You may have considered what I am considering here before. If not, maybe you would like to now. I believe that Christmas should not really be about us satisfying ourselves to excess. If it is to be about us, then it should be us acknowledging that divine being, the enlightened one, the master and liberator, the mature one, praising his name Christ, who was born to show us a way of living more harmoniously, more tolerantly, more compassionately and forgiving. It should be a celebration of his divine appearance, the light that dispels our darkness, full of happiness and cheer. We should be bowing our heads to him, subordinating ourselves to him, because in that place of surrender, we are neither superior nor inferior. We are simply already happy. Instead, however, as is the usual custom at Christmas, the vast majority are bowing down to Santa Claus, to material wealth, to indulgence, and to belly cheer. Not that it's wrong to be a little indulgent at times, but allowing such an indulgence to dominate one's life isn't so good. Now and always, so it seems, life in general is all about pleasing ourselves, fulfilling ourselves. We might like to think that Christmas is a time of giving, a time to be unselfish. Of course, thinking this is one thing, but living it is another. What say you? I consider that one reason the masses are attracted to Santa and what he represents is that Santa often appears strong, healthy, outgoing, full of life and energy, a giver of free gifts and lovely things, rotund and forever jolly, always looking and acting in an ecstatic way. Who can't be attracted to that kind of guy, whether young or old? I, for one, am. Whereas the Christ that is portrayed on the cross throughout the world, not, may I add, via his verbal teachings, in the churches and elsewhere, probably due to the fact he had just been given a death sentence, is radically different. Anyone who has just been given a death sentence would no doubt look the way he has been portrayed by so many artists and sculptors. We all know the image of how Christ is portrayed: weak, helpless, forlorn, etc. It's amazing when you think that there were no actual photographs of Christ. We have no difficulty in recognizing him. Anyway, the usual way of depicting him is not the Christ I know and love. Throughout the world, Christ has never been portrayed as an ecstatic, forever happy, embracing all of life. Have you ever seen a painting of Christ looking really happy and full of life? I haven't. In fact, the Christ that I know is quite similar to Santa, but one who isn't just alive one day a year. The Christ that I know is alive and kicking 365 days a year. Whereas Santa is the master of indulgences, Christ is really the master of our hearts. Also, thanks to Charles Dickens' The Christmas Carol, we have an example of a sudden change of disposition, a change of heart, by way of the converted Scrooge, which is an example of Christ taking him over. Overnight, Scrooge was converted from a tight-fisted guy to one of great generosity. Light entered his, up until then, life of darkness. He became enlightened. I know enough about the enlightened man, the one who lives as light, who is awake, one who never suffers, never in dilemma, never seeing life as a problem, who is forever free, one who embraces all and all. I see Christ as such a person, forever happy with us, an example of the living divine in human form. He can be our greatest friend and lover. He, together with many other enlightened people, past and present, is an example of a living light that dispels the darkness that the world tends to get stuck into. At Christmas, together with sending gifts, we'd like to wish one another a peaceful new year. Peace be with you is a statement that millions of people are wishing for one another. It is written in the millions of Christmas cards that we send and receive. Apparently, 900 million cards were sent in the UK last year alone. For me, the image of one's open hands coming together as in prayer, seemingly becoming as one, is a lovely depiction of peace. Can you imagine two fists coming together? Of course not. Fists are at war, always attacking, whereas open hands embrace, always serving. So, for there to be real peace on earth, where individuals and nations can live in harmony with each other, we must all learn to live more often like open hands. The disposition of the open hand can never be at war. The open hand inherently serves, never fights. What say you? Well, I hope you've enjoyed reading a little of my take on this great and often controversial annual festival, both secular and sacred. I hope you've read it considerately and found it to be of possible use in your daily living. May I wish you love and blessings and hope that 2024 will bring about many opportunities for you to enjoy your family and friends' company. Thank you for being part of my life. Love, Peter.